Hello, and today we're going to study conditionals, and we have already been saying this in class, but let's make this video so you remember everything. Here you have Gandalf. You know Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings? Well, he's reminding you something. If you don't study, you won't pass your exams. That's a conditional, a first conditional sentence, and we will also study them. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to see some let's say introduction about conditionals, and to do so we are going to have a look at two slides when we can see some general things about conditionals. This is one of them. Let's put it here, and now we make it bigger. So conditionals, as you know, are divided into different types. The types we are going to study today, when you get to higher levels you will see more, are zero, first, and second. Zero is something that we use when we want to express that it's going to happen for sure, so it always happens. First, it's when we want to express that something is possible to happen, and it will almost always happen. And second conditional, it's the one which is difficult to happen, and it's almost impossible to happen. All these three conditionals are dealing with present and future. Okay? Another general aspect that it could be good for you to know is this one. Conditionals have two parts. Okay? One of them is the condition. The other one is the result. Okay? The consequence of that. To introduce the condition, we usually use two words, if or unless. If is positive, unless is negative. Let's go now to the different conditionals we are going to study. The first one is zero conditional. This conditional, it's the one we use when we want to express that it always happens. It is always true. And remember that the tenses we use to create it are present and present in both places. Okay? It's really easy. It's what we call laws of nature. So remember what we did with the ice in the class. If you heat water, it melts. Remember that I brought an ice cube and we put it in a plastic glass, and we left it there the whole class, and at the end of the class it had melted. That's what you have to remember about zero conditional. It always happens. It can go faster or slower, but it would always happen the same. The result is always the same. The other conditional we work with is first conditional. First conditional, as you know, is something that almost always happen. Okay, so it's like if we go from more possible to less possible, we will have zero. It's the most possible one, then we have first conditional, and then we will have second conditional. In this case, what you have is that it is present and then future. Okay, instead of will, you can use can, but you know, if you use future, it's okay, and you use it when something's possible. Okay, as always, when with conditionals, you have to remember that things depend on what you want to express. So maybe you can use different conditionals, but what it's going to change is your intention when you are saying things, okay? Let's go to second conditional. This one, second conditional, is the most difficult to understand, okay? It refers to the present, although you are using a past tense here, okay? But it's present. You use it when something is almost impossible. That means it's really, really, really difficult to happen, okay? So if I won the lottery, I would buy a yacht. Si ganara la lotería, me compraría un yate. My options to buy a yacht go attached to winning the lottery, and that's really difficult. So my options of buying a yacht are really, really, really small, okay? Another use it has is to give advice, okay? If I were you, I would study harder. I'm not you, but in the case I were, that's what I would do, okay? So I'm giving you a piece of advice that's related to second conditional. And finally, I'm going to show you another slide where we have some, tips of things to remember. So first thing you have to remember is that you use them depending on always, possible, or difficult, okay? Always, possible, or difficult. The second thing is that they have two parts, if, which is a condition, and then the result. And remember that you can change the order. That's when the comma thing is important, okay? That thing there, the comma. And finally, the third thing is that you can use if or unless in the condition, and it depends on whether you want to make a positive condition or you want to make a negative condition. Well, and that's all about conditionals. I hope that with this video and the time we've spent in the class working with it, it's clear enough for you to do a very good job with them.